What's up, everyone? I'm actually super nervous to be filming again because I got some really interesting feedback on the first episode of Dom's Day Off. My boyfriend, who is super supportive and amazing and awesome, he loved it. He's listened to it like a million times. That's dope, right? Super supportive boyfriend. My grandma, on the other hand, not sure if she liked the fact that I was cursing on the internet. What can you do? I mean, I'm sorry, Nana. Welcome to episode 2 of Dom's Day Off, and today we're going to be talking about mindfulness and meditation. And now, I'm not saying that I am a monk or a meditation guru or like a freaking mindfulness genius. What I'm going into in this episode is more so my experience with it and how it's helped me cope with different stressful situations within life, dealing with heartbreak, dealing with stress in my career, things like that. So I am by no means saying that here's the definition of meditation and why you should do it and here's what happens in your brain. I'm just going to show you a bunch of different outlets that I've checked out, give you some resources to check out, things that have benefited me, and kind of just level with you on how meditation has helped me and how I've kind of looked at it and what I've done with it and what I've found works best for me. So yeah, please don't come for me. I did my research. I've been getting into meditation, I think, for around, I want to say 2 years? No, 3 years. And I kind of stumbled upon it in college when I was obviously very stressed out. You know, last episode we talked about self-confidence and self-doubt, and we also talked about like different ways to sort of change your outlook going into like a stressful situation. Like for me, in my case, it was like a show. So this week, you know, going into a new topic was kind of stressful because like obviously I want every episode to be different. I want every episode to kind of leave you with like a different thing, you know, to like sit and research and like craft this episode, you know, and then to film and then to edit and to do all this stuff and then to get like a response from people that might not be super great is like a super scary thing, especially with putting yourself on social media. I feel like it's easier to be mysterious. It's easier to just kind of like not post anything. And then when you do that, nobody can necessarily make an opinion about who you are or what you think because they don't know who you are or what you think. So it is way harder to do something like this and really put yourself out there on the internet because it gives people the opportunity to agree or disagree. There's no reward without risk. So for me, it's worth it to sort of do stuff like this. It's a creative thing for me. I'm not doing it for anything other than to express myself and to like connect with other people on similar topics of interest. In terms of how people have responded to the first episode, it's really great. I know a lot of singers that reached out to me and were like, hell yeah, this looks so dope. I can't wait to listen. Like, oh, I've checked out the first episode. I can't wait for the second. I'm directing it towards a demographic that's a little bit different than the people that might check out my music. But I just think that I know that I check out a lot of different podcasts by people who are a similar age, and I'm kind of basing it off of their structure and what they do. I'm not going to box myself in and say, this is only for a certain age group. Like, definitely not. But yeah, it's a big risk to sort of show yourself on social media and who you are on the internet because it gives people the opportunity to agree or disagree, to like or not like you because you're showing them who you are. A lot of people, I think, don't do that. It's a super scary thing. But the people that do jump headfirst into social media show who they are, what they like, what they don't like, whatever. Their personality on social media. You get to know them and you get invested and you might turn out to like them. So, you know, without that risk, you know, you can't really get to that point. We've actually had our first hater. Without success doesn't come a little bit of a little bit of hate. I could just sit here and be like the vision of perfection, like pure, lighthearted, the person that I'm not. I'm a real human being. I have likes and dislikes. I have a personality. I have opinions. If you've come here to hate, welcome. If you've come here to just vibe, thank you and welcome. If you come here to support, congratulations, you've won the lottery, okay? We're besties now. That's the greatest gift I could give. I love this feeling of being able to talk to people, you know, like on the internet because a lot of my friends live far away. I'm originally from New York, so I'm like seeing people from when I used to live in New York kind of comment on things and like my posts. So they're like seeing me now, and it kind of feels like I'm talking to them. So that's like a really cool feeling, is like reconnecting with old friends, and then also kind of feeling nostalgic about, you know, those old friendships. So if you're someone who hasn't talked to me in a while and you're just like trying to have a conversation with me, and like I've been listening to these podcasts and whatever, and you want to hit me up, just hit me up. I'm lonely. I'm a sad, lonely girl. That's why I'm doing a freaking podcast by myself. I'm just kidding. My best friend, Dazia, she wanted to do there's a lot of people that I wanted to do a podcast with. There was my friend Brian. I wanted to do a music podcast with him. There's my friend Dazia, and she's been my best friend since my junior year of high school. When I first moved to Virginia, she moved from Arizona to Virginia, and I moved from New York to Virginia at the same time. So we became besties, and she just like gets me. And so I'll definitely have her as like a guest in the future. 1 or 2 specials in life. Right now, I woke up this morning feeling super anxious. And in spirit of this episode, I actually did like a full body scan. What that means is like it's a mindfulness technique where you kind of start from the top of your body and scan down. You just analyze each body part and sort of just recognize how that part of your body is feeling. And so I woke up like having all these like thoughts, like basically going through my to-do list, thinking about wanting to pick up my phone and just scroll on social media and like what people are thinking about the podcast and should I keep doing this? All these like frantic thoughts as soon as I woke up. I've been making it a habit that as soon as I wake up, just kind of doing this like body scan technique, and it has been super relaxing having awareness of my body, but from internal perspective. It's helping me be more focused and get through my day, and sort of helps me calm down in the morning. And they say the best time to do meditation is like once in the morning and then once at night, because in the morning it sets you up for the day, and then at night it sort of like winds you down so that you have a really good night's sleep and you don't have nightmares and like your mind's not going crazy. And I definitely agree with that. I've found that when I meditate in the morning, I feel like the rest of my day is just much better. But the times that I turn to meditation are in times of like frantic, when like shit is hitting the fan, when like I'm absolutely like extremely stressed out or overwhelmed or anxious. And that's not necessarily the best time to do it. You should do it before that happens, or before you get to that point of like, I am going insane, I'm super stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I don't want to do anything, I'm just sitting here thinking about all the things I should be doing, and I'm not doing anything. Before you get to that point, you should be practicing meditation and mindfulness like daily. Last thing I'll say before we dive into like the meat and potatoes of this episode, the podcast is doing really well. We have almost over 100 views on YouTube. We have almost, I think it's around like 30 plays on Spotify, I want to say. Not sure how Apple Podcast is doing. I don't know how to check that analytics, but it's doing well. And I appreciate the love, and I appreciate people tuning in, you know, listening for the full podcast, really vibing with it. Your love and support is everything, because there are the haters out there that don't want to hear me talk for 25 minutes. And I get it. Who the fuck wants to listen to some 22-year-old girl talk for 25 minutes? I get it. But this is what I want to do. It's creative. It's going to help other people. People have already said they've really fucking loved it. So it's for those people. So bless up to my supporters. Keep the love coming. God knows I fucking need it. Anyways, let's dive into this episode. So I'm just going to give you a summary of like mindfulness. And it's something that you can practice at any time, at any place. Basically, you're just paying attention to your senses, acknowledging them one at a time. You're just trying to concentrate on the present moment, here and now. I felt like I was able to do this as a child because like you were just experiencing things as they were happening, and everything was like new and fresh. So you were trying to just like take it all in the present moment. And so doing this kind of reminds me of like that feeling. Also another like mindfulness thing is just like remembering to be kind to yourself, remembering that like the way that you talk to yourself in your head, you know, don't shit where you eat, basically, is what I'm saying. A lot of us can just like eat a meal super quick without like acknowledging even the way that it tastes, and you're just like scarfing it down. A really good, you know, practice is to just like get rid of all the distractions, be mindful of how it tastes, how it smells, how it, maybe the texture of it, you know, things like that. Just to kind of have this like attitude of gratitude, which, you know, is something I discussed last episode, but sort of being grateful for this meal. And like in the Netflix show Guide to Meditation by Headspace, it's one of my favorite shows. If you're really trying to get into meditation, it is like the best show that I have checked out in the past 3 years. It's changed my life. I listen to it pretty much like every week. But this guy explains that when he eats a meal, he sits and reflects. He takes like 20, 30 seconds to recognize, where did this food come from? And sort of just being grateful for it being in front of him. Meditation itself is like a skill, and it's like a way of training your mind to have like a greater sense of ease and being able to cope with different complex emotions as we get older. Removing yourself and pausing and training the mind to be more present and less distracted. Kind of like cleaning your room. You know where everything is, you're sort of organized, and you know how to like handle a situation. When someone says, hey, grab a pen and paper, you know where in your room to find a pen and paper. But if your room is like an absolute mess and someone says, hey, can you get me that pair of headphones? And you're like, oh my God. And you're like stressed out, like, where's the freaking headphones? And you're causing even more clutter. When your mind isn't organized in that way and you're not able to handle certain situations because you don't have the mindset to do it, it kind of like sets you up for failure. Whereas meditation can set you up for success. It changes your relationship to these complex emotions. You're essentially viewing your thoughts with a new perspective, and it can help you be more calm and collected. Some of my favorite examples in the Netflix show Headspace Guided Meditation is like you're essentially like sitting looking at traffic, and the cars are your thoughts passing by. Sometimes you can get, derailed or distracted by one of the cars, and you'll chase after it and you'll try to steer it back on course and do all this stuff, but your job is to just sit there and like notice the cars passing by and like not get really attached to any of them. And so that's like one of the techniques that they talk about. It's just focused attention, where you're just acknowledging your thoughts as they pass by and you're not really getting too attached to them. You're just like, okay, I recognize you, go on. I recognize that thought, next. And then another way of viewing your thoughts was like, this one is my favorite. Basically, your mind is like the blue sky. Some days it can be cloudy, it can be sunny, and your thoughts are essentially the clouds. And sometimes there are gray clouds that cover the entire sky and you can't even see the blue sky anymore. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the blue sky has disappeared. And just thinking that way can create the conditions for us to allow thoughts to disappear and experience the blue sky. It's always there. They say that it's ever present. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, having a good mindset, it's something that's always there. You can just acknowledge your thoughts from a different perspective. I listened to that episode. I think that's the episode on letting go. It's the second episode. And I listened to that one so much because not that I hold grudges, but I tend to hold on to negative emotions during times of stress. So that episode just completely changed my perspective on just how I should view my mind. Even though there's so many bad thoughts and so many clouds in the sky, it doesn't mean that the blue skies disappeared. And I thought that was a really cool concept. As you experience loss and like complex emotions and trauma, specifically, it becomes harder to process more complicated feelings. And so meditation techniques like focused attention, loving kindness, letting go, appreciation, and gratefulness, they're some of my favorites. Just a little like factual things for the factual girlies out there. For the scientific nerdy girls. Studies show that when you look at an MRI of monks before, during, and after meditation, they show that parts of the brain responsible for happiness and well-being received more blood flow and grew, which is like crazy to think about, that literally sitting down, being quiet, and like noticing your thoughts can like help your brain grow in the parts that are good. I'm so psyched to go meditate now. Meditation has proven to reduce stress, frustration, depression, and pain. It increases happiness, patience, acceptance, and compassion in people. Even if you think that meditation isn't something that's like useful at all, you can rest assured that after just 8 weeks, you can bring physical changes to your brain, specifically in the parts that are related to learning and memory, and the parts associated with anxiety and stress grow smaller, which is just after 8 weeks, like you're going to experience that. Why aren't we all doing it? The world would be a much nicer place if everybody meditated every once in a while. Like not every day, but just, once a month. But yeah, I thought that was cool. There's physical and physiological changes that occur when you're meditating and being mindful. So it's like, why not just try it? When I first got into meditation, I was like, I am not a meditation girly. this is not for me. I was like, I'm fine without any of this. I mean, like, when you think about it, it sounds so weird. Like, why am I just going to sit in silence and like think? But you're given a specific task or a specific thing to think about. Another thing that Headspace sort of talks about is how we can't control the conditions in our mind. You know, sometimes you're just having a stressful time. You know, sometimes you're just having a stressful day. Meditation is like learning to maintain balance and composure, and you can't eliminate stressful things in your life, but you can change your relationship with them and how you handle them. So it's kind of like the same thing as like you can't control other people. You can't necessarily control your mind perfectly. You know, you're going to think about stressful things. You're going to think about, you know, terrible things, but you can control how you handle those emotions and how you handle those things. Now to just sort of talk about my experience with meditation. I started meditating because I was like super stressed in college and super stressed with everyone's like expectations of me and just sort of thinking that like I needed other people's validation and approval to be like worthy as a human being, which is just not the case. And I found it really hard to like forgive other people for treating me poorly. I started getting into meditation solely based on the fact of like forgiving other people for treating me or disrespecting me or whatever. I didn't see like immediate results, obviously, but I did feel like a little bit better. And after every single Headspace meditation, they say like just focus on how you feel right now after this meditation and really sit and pay attention to how that affected you. And I always found that I felt more calm and that I wanted to do it again. And then it got to a point where I was meditating a lot more. After certain meditations, I would feel like light as a feather, reborn. Chasing that high was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to keep chasing that like feeling of like something was, you know, I let something go. But at the same time, like you can't always feel that way after a meditation because sometimes there might not be something to let go. Maybe you're not stressed. Maybe you're perfectly fine and content and happy. But it's something good to still maintain regardless of that. Do I meditate every day? No. Practice what you preach. Like I don't even remember the last time that I actually meditated, but I listen and watch Guide to Meditation by Headspace on Netflix like all the time. I always watch that show. And actually I went to a spa recently with my best friend. They have all these saunas and they play, you know, all this really calming music or it's just completely silent. And so you're just supposed to like lay there and just enjoy the heat, you know, sweat. And while I was there, I brought like headphones and my phone. Every new sauna we went to, I did a meditation. And I was like, that was amazing. I felt really at peace, almost like too at peace afterwards. I was like uncomfortable at how like calm I was. I'm trying to practice mindfulness every morning with the body scanning. As soon as I wake up, I usually grab my phone and scroll for like 2 hours on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, every social media that there is. I know it's not healthy. I know it's wrong, but it's like I am attached. I am genuinely like addicted. Before I even touch my phone, doing the body scanning is like helping me sort of not really want to touch my phone because I finally feel calm in the morning and I don't want to like ruin that by going on social media and then starting to think about other people's lives and other people's stuff and, you know, think about all these uncontrollable things that I can't do anything about. Around like this time last year, I didn't really know where my career was going necessarily. I had just released my debut EP like that November. I was trying to release it and I didn't really have any people guiding me through that, doing it by myself. And I felt like really alone and didn't know what to do with this EP that I spent a shit ton of money on and whether or not people were going to even like it or check it out or want to listen to it. And I didn't even know if I liked it myself. I was like listening to it and I was like, this sucks. And I think it was just because I listened to it too much. I listen to that EP every once in a while and like every time I go back to it, I'm like, damn, I was 20 years old. Like, sheesh. Like, damn, okay, what's next? And that pressure to do another thing is creeping up on me. I'm like slowly crowdfunding for my debut album, my very first full debut album with originals and everything. Super excited, but right now I'm like writing the music and writing everything and trying to figure out what the message is going to be and what's the deeper meaning behind it. But I'm crowdfunding. And actually yesterday, Linda of Laos, she donated $100 to my album, which I thought was so amazing. Like, bless you. Thank you. The next episode that I should do is either building a good routine or like building healthy habits. I know that I really struggle with having a good routine. I think doing an episode on that will really, really help me get my shit together. We're coming to the end of this episode, and down below I've listed some videos to check out. I've listed the Netflix show that I really love, Headspace Guide to Meditation, that's what it is. I've listed some other apps to check out, some resources to go and do your own research. You don't have to just listen to me in this podcast. Go and check out these things for yourself if you're genuinely curious. If not, I'll just leave you with this quote. This is a quote from Headspace, and it's titled Mindful Moments. The heart of meditation is taking ourselves a little bit less seriously. I think that this is so important. It's so easy to get super serious in life, take everything too seriously, get extremely offended by every little thing, care too much about what other people think, care about how we present ourselves too much, and all of this stuff. Take everything super serious. Not saying that you can't be serious, but I love this quote because it just makes you feel like a kid, in all the best ways of being a child and just being able to live in the present moment and stop taking things too serious. Love that. That's the end of today's podcast. Be sure to rate, follow, subscribe, all the stuff. And if you want to check out my music, it's available on all streaming platforms and on my main YouTube channel, which is Dominique Bianco. I hope you have a good rest of your day wherever you are, in the car, outside in this beautiful weather, wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good one.